now. Why are we getting so many musicals in Doctor Who right now? I realize there have been musical numbers in the past, but to my knowledge, and I've watched most of the series. I didn't watch the black and white; it's a little too much for me. But I picked up with Tom Baker, and before David Tennant, Tom Baker was my favorite Doctor. So I'm kind of familiar with the series, I guess. I wouldn't say I'm a whoologist, yeah, whospert, if you will. I don't remember a focus on like a full musical episode. Like this right here. Like even the Toymaker episode had a whole bunch of musicals, and the Goblins had musicals. I'm very curious about what's happening here. It's a science fiction show, and so adding these sort of supernatural elements were kind of fun with when we were having Stephen Moffat write things with his horror angles. Those were kind of interesting, but I'm really beside myself on why so many musicals. This is also because Star Trek had a musical episode, right? Wasn't that Strange New Worlds had a musical episode where like they encountered some space fart that made them dance around and sing, and then everybody got better. They got less musical. Well, anyway, we've got Jinkx Monsoon, the actor, actress, act it. I'm not sure what act them. I'm not sure, but the actor Jinkx Monsoon rejects critics of the series. This is a new Doctor Who, saying if they don't watch it, who needs them? Mm-hmm. This, by the way, coming from this person who says, you're not needed. You're not needed, apparently. But again, this comes again as another musical episode. This again is because Jinkx Monsoon has a musical acumen, and so they've brought this person in to perform and do their thing. hmm and do their thing they did. There's many clips you've seen floating around the internet now. I can't show them here because of copyright strike. However, you've seen this character has been quite flamboyant and over the top, much like the Toymaker was flamboyant and over the top. And so, again, the Goblin episode is give or take, but there's quite a bit of flamboyancy and over the topness there. This is not foreign to Doctor Who. It's not the point I'm making. It's that we seem to be engaged in the once more with feeling loop from Buffy, as Film Slash points out here. It says Doctor Who's first musical episode should have taken a cue from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And of course, Film Slash echoing me on this that there may not be a previous musical episode. At least to my knowledge, there hasn't been a musical episode that's been totally dedicated to song and dance. This is the first one that's totally dedicated to it. Again, musical numbers in previous episodes, yes, but this is the very first one where it's just dedicated to this sort of format, much like Once More with Feeling from Buffy the Vampire Slayer was. And I agree with this take. I think that what you run into with paying homage to so many stage shows and Hairspray at one point getting its own homage there with the classroom dance. At least that's what I perceived it to be. I thought it was about Hairspray. But we're seeing like a lot of that like call up to Broadway and things like that, which once again, not foreign to Doctor Who, makes a lot of call outs, call ups, call downs, however you want to call them, to other mediums, other events. World War II is a constant theme, obviously. So it's not foreign to do these things. But the way it's executed this time is it appears to be this very angry, I'm trying to convey something that I either regret or I am repentant over, I guess. Regret and repent a little different. You can regret something and not seek to change it, and you can repent, which means you're going to change it, right? So this is what it feels like. The episode is sort of expressing an anguish, particularly through the angle of lens rather of Broadway musicals. It's really you can't get around how stage showy this episode really engages itself as. Now, I'm not approaching this as somebody that's like this character doesn't belong in Doctor Who. Really, the Maestro doesn't seem any more over the top than Davros or any of the other characters that have come and gone that screamed off the top of their heads about things. It actually reminds me of a critique I read from Vincent Price a long time ago, I'm not from those a long time ago times, as you can tell, but Vincent was. And he wrote about the villains always being like gay coded. Those weren't the words that he used. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But he described how the villains in movies were often coded as gay or feminine, or at the very least, not interested in doing naughty things with the damsel in distress and instead baiting a man into their clutches using the woman, right? And so this feels very much like a callback to that villain of the 60s, 50s, and 60s that, of course, has this divergent sexuality about them. But the anger associated with it is unmistakable. I come from a background of stage acting. I'm not Broadway, don't get me wrong. I did local theater, I did high school theater. I won a couple awards because I was good enough to get an award, I guess. It's nothing huge. But I'm familiar with how the stage show kind of performances go. I'm familiar with how musicals function in particular. I didn't do the singing, don't worry. But this situation that we saw in the show, Maestro is a very angry character. We know why, but I got to draw your attention back to the writer, right? Russell T Davies. This show is not a reality show. Someone with a camera on their shoulder is not following the Doctor through all their different adventures, you know? This isn't Jersey Shore Time Lord edition, right? This isn't Gallifrey Shores, you know? This is a fictional show front to back. Everything that happens in front of the camera is intended to happen that way. So it's not an accident that the Maestro is a very angry character. And again, being a spoiler if you care, it's the Maestro is the son of the or whatever, cancel me, is the son of the toy maker. And so, again, like, what are we looking at? We're seeing a cross-dresser, right? We're seeing someone who does drag. We're seeing someone who presents themselves as feminine and then shifts abruptly into the masculine. Because again, the Maestro uses the man voice quite frequently during this episode. So it's not like this person is attempting to fully present as trans like we saw Jason in the David Tennant gets cucked episode, right? The 10th Doctor gets cucked episode. This is more along the lines of this is a damaged human being that has expressed themselves in this manner due to their grief or misunderstanding, rage, really. And that's weird to do, Russell, if you're trying to normalize being queer, divergent, LGBT friendly, that sort of thing. It's very strange to go and take a person who is damaged and then expressing themselves in a villainous way, mind you, that they destroy music in the world. That's what happens in the episode. Destroy music in the world, become basically supernaturally or otherwise, pulls this power into their control. The Maestro does. And so you're left with this kind of feeling of like, are we trying to normalize this, or are we trying to demonize it? Are you trying to make this character sympathetic, or are we trying to make this character an example of what happens, right? Is this more real life than fiction this time? Again, sometimes that's good to walk the line, but where this is so angry, I don't think it's a good idea to walk the line like this. Again, Jinkx Monsoon performed what they were asked to perform. I can't. Again, Doctor Who is very colored, okay? There's a lot of different things going on. There's a rainbow effect of things. I'm not saying colored because you've got a black guy being the Doctor now. I'm saying colored is in the Technicolor coat, if you will. There's so many different varieties of Doctor-isms out there. Sarah Jane had her own spin-off show. You had Torchwood, which was all about Captain Jack getting laid with various men and women and robots. Did he do? No, that was Lando. Never mind. But again, like you're living in like a time now where all of this is out there in the Doctor Who landscape. So it's not foreign to have these over the top gay characters show up, or at least sexually divergent characters show up. So I'm not making the argument that this is bad. This is just really angry, guys. It's really mad. I don't know if you noticed this, but like through most of the episode, the Maestro is screaming and hollering about this sort of misunderstanding of a situation, that they are the ones that only know this kind of situation. And it's such a secret about it too. And it made me wonder if it's something that's going on with Russell T Davies. And I finally found it, what it was. And it just came out a couple of weeks ago. So Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies wants to make a musical episode one day. Well, got their chance, right? This was just published May 9th, 2024. So it was just a couple of weeks ago. So it's not like this was some big mystery. This was in post. This was just waiting to get posted, you know? So Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies wants to make a musical episode one day, despite once turning down ABBA's idea for a stage version. The Doctor Who boss reveals his regret at saying no to a meeting with ABBA. Okay? Well, I think we know why the Maestro is so angry. It's not because of anything like, oh, my father figure was abusive to me, or anything like, something you can relate to, or I can relate to, or, something out there in the world, like, a father figure being so good to you, like in my case, then leaving too early. And you have this abrupt, rudderless kind of life for a good long time before you manage to put your own feet down as a man. That kind of thing, right? But no, we're getting, I think, Russell T Davies' anguish over not getting his ABBA Doctor Who fusion show on Broadway. And I think they're really that shallow. I think they're really that shallow to go through all this effort of hiring extras that can sing and dance and perform backflips, all this crazy stuff. There's a twist at the end, all that stuff, right? Just so this guy can get his Doctor Who musical out of his bones, out of his blood, out of his blood. This kind of thing is a little too common in Hollywood. You've heard of vanity pieces, this kind of thing. Well, you should have noticed by now that certain actors will appear in movies that put them in a space where they're not traditionally comfortable in. You'll see like actors like uh, comedy actors go and play like a B movie. They'll play like the hero in a B movie that comes out. That's an action movie. And it's just one of those cop goes out and delivers righteous justice after he gets thrown off the force for being a loose cannon thing, right? Well, what it does is it tests the audience as to whether or not they're, and the character, the actor himself, as to whether or not they're a good fit for an action role for a much higher budget movie, perhaps at a different studio even. You hear about this a lot, that a studio will finance another studio's production because they want to see what this actor will do in that role. I'm saying is that this is Russell T Davies trying to say, like, please let me have a Doctor Who musical. I'm so sorry I turned it down before. I think that's this whole episode. I think that's the whole takeaway from this, that the Maestro is just an avatar for Russell T Davies' anguish over not being able to over realizing that he actually did want that musical with ABBA. I don't think there's any deeper meaning. I don't think there's an abusive father angle. I don't think there's the doctor ruined my life angle. I don't think there's music isn't as pure as it once was angle. I don't think there's women carry music in their hearts wherever they go angle. I don't think that's at all anything to do with the meaning of this episode. It's just like, wah, I didn't get to make my musical when I had the chance. Please give me another chance. That's really what it seems like to me. But you let me know down in the comments what you think about this, and what you think about Jinkx Monsoon and the character's introduction to this whole franchise. Because I doubt we're done with the Toy Maker and the Maestro and all these other ones. It appears that Russell's kind of obsessed with taking a humanoid form and making it the avatar or embodiment of nouns and verbs, activities, if you will. So video games or gaming, the Toy Maker, you have music now becoming the embodiment of that, gluttony being the embodiment of the goblins, that kind of thing. So I don't know. You tell me down below what you think is going on. Do you think they're going to continue this everything's a musical thing? Or is it just like, Russell T Davies was sort of feeling the musical vibe off the Goblin thing. He was remembering ABBA and he was like, you know what? I just want to make a musical. He just did it. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. But until then, good luck out there.